How's it going, everyone? Happy Friday out there. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're going to have a great weekend. Hope it's sunny somewhere where you are. Hope you get to touch grass, touch sand, treat yourself, eat some ice cream. Ice cream tastes good, doesn't it? I like ice cream. I like the ice cream. It's pretty good. Almost as good as the PulseChain. They go hand in hand, don't they? Now, here comes the ice cream new ticker on Pump.Tires, right? Welcome, everyone, to the show. I'm excited to get into it. We got a couple guests here, one of which we double dipped on Kong this week. You got the double dip on Kong. We're double dipping. He's back. He's back on Wednesday. Anyway, they get chatting in just a minute. Without further ado, welcome back to the show, Twinkie, for the second time, I believe, and Kong, second time this week. How's it going, gents?
Good. How are you?
Did you like the ice cream intro and then the double dip into Kong?
I did that.
I did. Nice.
I did, man. It's good to be back. Glad to share a little airtime with Kong. I think this is the first time we've had the opportunity to cross paths. Okay, let me throw this one out there. I know we got a few different AI and assorted like crypto topics, and like, if PulseChain was an ice cream flavor, what flavor do you think it would be, or what flavor would it be to you? Maybe that's a better question.
Oh man, Rocky Road right now.
Yeah, that's probably the one and only answer.
First thing that comes to mind. Yeah.
I
want it to be peanut butter cup. Yeah, I mean, it is a good flavor. See, it's like one of those, literally a great flavor and also descriptive. Let's move it into peanut butter cup or something. Let's move it into something sweet, silky, smooth, and got some pump middles. I think peanut butter's got some pump middles. I like peanut butter. Chat,
Okay,
let me know if you like peanut butter.
Down with it. I'm down with it. I would have gone with like brookie dough, like brownie cookie dough combo, but okay.
Brookie dough. I like those things too. That sounds
Yeah. All delicious and nutritious, right?
I mean, I'll settle for just Oreo. I mean, everyone like a generic flavor that no one can deny tastes good. I like the PulseChain. No one can deny the greatness of the ice cream. Chat, let me know. Oh, here we go. Hot wrecked fudge. There we go. Those are some words. Salt flavored. I like it. Actually, what is it? Is it caramel? Is it sea salt and caramel?
Salt and caramel.
Yeah, salt and caramel. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, chat. That's what we're starting off with. What ice cream flavor is the PulseChain and AI imminent? I like it. Yeah. Speaking of that, I watched while we're on that topic, while we're on the topic of not things we plan to talk about today, I watched a South Park like a history thing recently. It went through all the seasons and how it started and how it was like a Christmas special thing, and then got turned into, this huge thing with Family Guy and all these other shows. And I thought that was something outside of crypto that was like, oh wow, the real world exists. There are things and programs and people that are successful and creative in all these ways, and you can create value from working hard and getting lucky, or working hard to put yourself in a position to get lucky. And I thought those guys were pretty inspirational, even though it used to be more funny, I think, in my opinion. But shout out to South Park. Respect Kong's authority. There you go.
Yeah, well, I think from an artistic perspective, I suspect that's something a lot of far more successful artists than I struggle with. Like when you find something that kind of has that it moment or catches fire, right? You've got this aspect of it okay, you've got this certain level of potential fame, fortune, notoriety, but I think you also have a counterpoint to that where you're almost in a no-win situation, because a substantial portion of your audience is going to want you to keep doing the same thing slightly better, and then you're going to have a substantial portion of your audience will be like, you don't take any chances, you don't go in any different directions, you don't do anything else. So I definitely feel for some of the folks who are perhaps a bit more artistically minded when it comes to trying to replicate success.
Too bad it's all going away now with AI, and everyone's going to make their own programming, and the endings to movies will be all chosen by the people at the theater with their phones. And isn't a beautiful future of AI we have ahead of us, with absolutely no problems on the horizon whatsoever.
Well, that was a conversation I had with my friend's wife. She was working for Netflix at the time, and I said, where I see this going at some point in time is there's still going to be some level of market, I think, for common storytelling. And hey, Max, Twinkie, Kong, you all went to the same theater or streamed the same movie and got the same experience. But fast forward it's going to, I think, over time start to, interactive entertainment, right? Video games, except it'll go one step further, and it's some combination of choose your own adventure, or based on your viewing history, your preferences, your watch time, all this data we have on you, you're going to have a dynamically created entertainment experience that is perhaps similar same characters, right? Maybe same sandbox, but very different storytelling or very different outcomes.
I think have you all seen the Netflix Black Mirror episode where you can choose, what was that called? Vanderwatch or something?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, where you can choose the path forward. That was like a really early, I think, sneak peek of what AI can do for media, kind of what you were talking about there. Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds.
Where do we go from that? Go ahead, Carl.
It sounds something that would probably take place as well. Like even if you think about like what's going on with, even if you just think of like some basic like YouTube or even what's happening with Reels, how they recommend whatever based off of like whatever data points they're grabbing off of you. I think it would make perfect sense to have like even video games with those dynamics. I think, I don't know, it's going to be a crazy world. I don't know if even I can kind of fully grasp how AI might be fully implemented into everyone's everyday life. And I wonder if there will be a market for like non-AI sort of still kind of old age media and stuff like that. So
well, I think kind of on that point, you'll be paying a premium for human created content. It'll be, and only the best will survive. It'll be like literally the world will, I think, eventually turn into, Twinkie talked about this last time, like your creativity, your judgment, your ability to produce something that is hard for AI to do, the ability for you to, whatever it is, your job, your art, your communication, like whatever it is that AI can't do, people who have those skills will be super highly valued. And it'll turn into, like maybe you go to a restaurant and you pay more for a restaurant that has human servers versus robot servers, or, drone, dropping off stuff, like whatever, like all those will become cheaper because people will pay more for a more human experience. Like there'll be value in people seeking stuff like
service. That. You have to like pay extra to talk to a human. That'd be bad.
Yeah. Oh man, at that point it'll be like they'll automatically pick the accent for you depending on what your preference is or what you want or where you're from. It'll be like, you want a New York accent, you want an Indian accent, you want a European accent, you want what language do you want? That way it'll actually revolutionize a lot of it, make the communication easier, and support will be, automated in so many different ways. But yeah, it'll be a very, why wouldn't it, based on what we are today, we're going to talk about some of the different advances, like why wouldn't it trend in that direction and come up with all these amazing things for us to use and benefit from, and the edges that we're trying to get early, like talking about it right now, and all the problems that you can kind of imagine, you can see where it's going, but they just haven't happened yet. So it's not super tangible right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in certain respects, particularly in the entertainment realm, I don't know if to what extent it'll be popular, remain popular, increase, decrease in popularity, but the analog human experience. And so I think about this myself. I played in multiple bands. I've got my own home recording studio in a separate section of the house just for my own entertainment. You can see I got a bunch of guitars back there. R.I.P. Val Kilmer. But the ability to go see a live concert these days and have a band that is not playing to a click track, particularly for larger productions, right, where it's on a click track, everything's timed, everything's sequenced, lighting, pyro, visual displays, it's all ultra regimented. There's no like, hey, we're a band. I mean, you'll still see like smaller local bands, right? We're just going to take the stage and we're going to count it off, and maybe tonight, because the vibe in the room, we're going to be 10 BPM faster than we were last night, or we're going to slow this down, or we're going to dance around this, improvise this. Things are just a lot more, I don't know, structured surrounding that. So Max, yeah, I think you're onto something where the human element, the analog element, the personal connection element will probably start to command a bit of a premium over time.
Definitely. I think so. I mean, it's all these things. I mean, with every new technology, definition technology, do more with less. How much more can we do? How much, greater GDP can we produce as a country, or how much more powerful as a human being can you be leveraging the robots to do a lot of the menial tasks for you? I don't know about you all, but I don't know how many hours I've spent, especially coding and stuff, debugging some stupid issue that literally is like I've spent a whole day on this particular problem that an AI could have solved in a few minutes, especially nowadays with the models we have now. So just the freeing up of time and resources and allowing you to focus on the core ideals. And automate a lot of the stuff that doesn't need you to remember everything at the top of your head. Like, I think there's, in the tech field, there's obvious like game changing things, but I think in people's personal lives, like you talked about music, we've been talking about like different videos and media and stuff like that, how that's going to change actors in movies. I'll show a video here in a minute that demonstrates a little bit of that, but it's like, you're going to see George Clooney or, name your favorite actor or otherwise in a movie, or you're going to see this AI generated movie that's pretty good. And it has all your, the favorite things you want in it, but it's just not made by humans. And how cheap can they become? And how does that affect it's a worldwide shakeup, like waiting to happen. And so it's going to be interesting.
This might be kind of off topic a little bit as well, but I also thought kind of in the early days, I don't know if I thought it was weird, but I definitely thought it was a little bit weird, like how much, and I'm sure there's better AIs out there that are more private and stuff, but I think even with the AIs that we have in the public and stuff, you can do a lot with them, right? And then it's kind of like Pandora's box has been opened, and I think at a certain point I was wondering if they would ever take away, or like saying they, but like governments or whoever would ever take away people's like power, ability to utilize AI so freely and stuff like this. But I honestly think now that we have like more of these kind of more and more of these open source models coming out, I think you're probably going to see it kind of stick around for the people like more permanently. But what I'm also thinking is too is like, especially with, and I don't know how exactly everything's going to turn out, but I think AI might get to a point where people rely on it as they rely on Wi-Fi, like very similarly, like day to day, like everyone
Internet
needs Wi-Fi. Like, yeah, if the internet went down, it'd probably be a big problem for everyone, like business, perhaps everyone's kind of like day to day a little bit. Like if I'm sure a lot of systems rely on the internet, right? So same thing with the AIs will probably be kind of interwebbed so deeply with our society or wherever, where like it's I'm sure it'll become critical infrastructure in a way. So
yeah, you
but
go
we'll
to a
see
restaurant,
what
the
turns
power's
out.
out.
So
It makes me think of the analogy. You go to a restaurant, the power's out, the internet's out, like whatever's out. Oh, cash only. Okay. It's kind of going to, like you said, like going to be very much dependency, and then revert back to, like just, the human to human interactions without all the things solving all the problems for you at that point. I think it'll definitely get that way. And just to that point too, this prompt, the canonical help me do something prompt, ChatGPT, you can use Claude, there's Venice, I feel like there's a new platform every day and a new interface to talk to models and how good they got. What can't you do at this prompt? Multimodal, you can do voice, you can do different formats, PDFs and search, and it's got RAG that'll combine like the model stuff with different searching on the web to have more context and all that. What can't you do here?
that's a good question. I'll get it to tie your shoes or something like that.
Yeah, in the digital age, I guess like literally physically, it not yet. It hasn't tied in. Once we get those Optimus robots from Tesla, maybe it'll come in the physical world too. But literally,
Start to
make a
have some
PulseChain
level of
website.
tangible hands. Yeah.
Yeah, you plug in, instead of plugging in like your peripherals will be like plug in your pair of hands via USB, and the model will start like tying your shoes. There you go, Con.
Yeah,
I can see
or
that.
like the easy sync buttons, right? Like push the button on your PC or your AI interface, push the button on your local Tesla bot and let it do its thing. Now, to what Kong was saying though, as far as like critical infrastructure, just a like quick tangent detour while that's loading, which is really impressive. Look how quickly, like how many hours would that have
10
saved
seconds.
Max? Yeah,
Is it 10 seconds?
versus hours, right? Going
Yeah.
through some sort of ID and needing to build this the old school way. Where I was going with this is critical infrastructure. I agree. And as far as like, gloom and doom AI, AI becomes so interwoven on the infrastructure level where we're giving it control of everything. Oh, control my sprinkler system to control my, my doorbell system to traffic lights to whatever. Hell, man, it doesn't need to send the Terminators after us. Just starts turning stuff off.
Gotta have an off button. Gotta have an unplug button.
Yeah. Analog override. Anyway. So yeah, back to you. You whipped together this PulseChain site while we were having this quick detour conversation. Imagine that.
I don't even think you finished the paragraph you were even.
No, zero.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this is just for everyone watching out there who hasn't played with it a lot. Prompting. I mean, we'll give it real quick introduction to prompting, but prompting is just the ability to tell the AI what you want it to do. You can be more specific, less specific. Like in this one, I literally just said, build a PulseChain website. And in 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it built one. It showed me the preview. It's actually running. There's other features where you can launch it somewhere and buy the domain and all that stuff too. And then it was a little bit dark. So I was like, okay, brighten the colors. And it's just like, okay, I know how to do that. It rewrote the code, brighten the colors. I want to introduce a little bit of concept of vibe coding in this too, because the lines are starting to blur of, do you even need to look at the code anymore? Like, can you just literally never look at the code? It even hit it right here. You can't even see the code unless you like really want to. You don't even need to see the code to go build applications. That piece that is so powerful. Like you don't even need to have a back. You just need to have an idea, and the machines can go build it for you. And it's this good at this early of a stage as well. So prompting, tell it what you want it to do. And this was like a super simple one. Again, you can do like a Google search mode. Sometimes I switch between, and I'll let you all kind of discuss like your different methods and stuff too. But for me, I usually treat it as a Google search, which is like the most basic and the most least resolution possible way of doing something. It's like make a PulseChain site, do this thing. But if I really want to get something specific, if I really want to answer a question or make something that I already have a bunch of data for, or if I just want to copy and paste a website and be like, summarize this website, you can give it all the context. So you can start from, hey, just talk to it like you're talking to Google, like you used to talk to Google. You can go to give it literally all the information, give it the book, give it the website, copy, select all, copy, paste in here, do this thing with it, sort all the words, summarize it for me, whatever it is. And then you can also kind of do in the middle where you're like, okay, instead of make a PulseChain website, I say make a PulseChain website with hexagon background, pulling blockchain stats on key metrics, and links to the official apps, something like that. I mean, so you can get more. You can be like, literally use this color code, use these links. I can even say here, use the links, pulsechain.com and pulsex.com and hex.com. And you can just give it, the more and more context you give it, the more and more description of the prompting that you give it, the more accurate it's going to be when it's building the thing. Because just think about everything you don't tell it, it's going to guess based on what it can do of what you want. So if I do that, if I give it, just a little bit more context of what I'm looking for, what I want it to do, it's now going to build, it's building it. So if I click on this link, that does not take me to the code. Or if I just X that, now it should, you can see it literally typing, answering in real time. And then let's see, how do I get back to the preview? Here we go. So it's changed the code. I don't know if it's going to do the blockchain part because I think it may have to. So for example, in this, if I didn't tell it to use a particular API, I didn't tell it to use whatever, so it's going to try to use this, which is probably not going to work. Example API. But you can say, I think Replit probably does a better example of actually going through and pulling the blockchain data from using Python and all these different pieces. This is just like React, kind of a dumb API way. But you get the point of, so if I click preview here, it's even going to ask me, do I want to access, whatever, do that. And it's not going to work right now because that's not the right URL. But the point is, if you give it the right information where to pull the data, it automatically is like, okay, I want to get the block height. I want to get the transactions per second. I want to get the total transactions. Here's the links that I asked for. And it's got a totally different layout. I can say, okay, change the colors back to bright and all those things. Where else do you get, how much simpler could it be? Like, where else do you get this kind of like, literally describe what you want to do, I'll build it for you. And you can make apps like this. I think it's amazing.
What I will say as well is, like, even if you know exactly what you want, if you're able to describe it to the AI and have the AI kind of blueprint it out for you, especially if you just say like what Max demonstrated is like make a PulseChain website. I think it did a very good job at that. But if you ask it to do more and more and more and more things, you can just break it up into components that kind of flow into each other, right? So yeah, like getting it to build the main website, adding stats a little bit later, coloring it, adding some more UI stuff a little bit after that. But if you're able to kind of pull out like a blueprint from the AI, and the AI is like the more context you give it, like Max is saying, like the better outputs it's able to give you. So if you're able to provide it more and more and ask it even more questions, and you could even ask it like what context would you need, or what information would you need in order to be able to complete this project successfully, right? And it will tell you, I would need to know this, right? And then you can go and source that information, or you can even get it to help you source the information as well, which it will do. Like if, especially like RHMax is saying, like using it as a Google search. And I don't really use Google anymore. Like I'll use Google if I need to Google something in particular, but if I need to like kind of almost do research in that sort of sense, like you don't you don't really I don't think you need Google anymore. I think the AI, especially if you turn it on like the search mode, and I think there's even the deep search mode, and on top of that, as well as like even Grok has good search modes as well if you're trying to use it as kind of a Google search as well, and it'll do whatever research you want and stuff, whatever you ask it for. But I think people also underestimate what the ability of some of like the newer AIs today could do. Like even I'm sure a lot of us pay for the Twitter like checkmark or whatever, and you get Grok. At least I think I get Grok included with that. So you're able to like if you're able to utilize that and kind of talk to and see how the models are nowadays, it's probably 10 times, probably over 10 times better than what you might have been getting in like 2023 or something like this. So
Yeah, I've witnessed it myself, just get better and better, and seen. I use Grok a fair amount just because I'm on Twitter with a certain degree of regularity. Similarly, I've largely backed away from using things like Google to search for things. I'll use Perplexity or Grok, and a lot of times it's how do I tell me about, help me build, help me find an algorithm for this. But Kong, I think you're hitting on one of the key threads and long term topics for the use of AI tools and the like. Realistically speaking, shout out to the guys over at DGen Roundtable. I see Agent J rolling through the chat. What book was it? I think it was like Building a Second Brain. I think was one of the ones they covered in one of their book clubs. I've not read it personally. I did read the synopsis. Long story short is we have all these sorts of tools we can use to bolster our abilities and the like. Going back to Max's earlier definition of technology, where I see this going is rote masterization and memory of a lot of topics will continue to fall by the wayside. And what's going to happen is those who are able to critically think, ask appropriate questions, and articulate certain kinds of designs or articulate their inquiries very well are going to pull ahead over time. Like just watching those website builds and like, if I'm like a junior programmer on some of those things, like you got to be a little concerned. You best be learning how to use these tools because clearly it's going to bolster the productivity of those who do know how to use it. So instead of having, 5 junior programmers and a couple senior guys, maybe I need 1 senior guy and 3 junior guys, or 2 seniorish guys and 0 junior guys. So it is going to be a giant lever, I think, on technical productivity and any sort of information-based industry.
I think that's a key takeaway is like if you get good at asking the AI questions and knowing how to pull certain answers out of the AI, you can utilize it very effectively because, and I think even the answers are a little bit randomized. Like if you were to give the same prompt to the same model a few different times, like you might get maybe some sort of similar output, but you're not going to see, maybe sometimes you'll see sort of the same thing or the exact same thing, maybe 1 or 2 times, but usually you might get some variance in what the outputs are kind of putting out and stuff. But if you get good at kind of extracting what you want from the AIs, you're able, like you can do a lot, right? And you need I don't know, like kind of like Twinkie is saying, like you need to be able to kind of like talk to them, and it's a little bit weird because I think sometimes the AIs are good. Sometimes I feel like they need a little bit more sleep or something. Like they're running low on some sleep. So
Well, this one, I think the GPUs are melting or something, like Sam Altman mentioned the other day. Like, come on, generate the image. Like, you
yeah,
did
like
everything
even
else.
right now it's like half asleep. So
Yeah, I'll just do, I'll do
Maybe you're being
table.
throttled, Max. This guy
Oh,
uses it too much. We got to back him down a few points.
gotta start paying $2,000 a month. Come on. But yeah, this is yeah. So any just on to wrap up prompting and stuff too. Again, you can pretty much solve any problem in the world. Get information on whatever you want. Create tables, create images, create whatever. What are some of the things you all use to like that you found helpful when prompting that you're like, oh, I used to do it like this, but now maybe you've changed and get much better results out of that, whether regardless of like what model you're using or what platform. What are like some go-to things for that?
So for me, in my tinkering with it, I try to definitely put more context into my initial question compared to how I was originally playing with some of these tools and the like okay, I guess it really depends on the level of specificity you're seeking in some of these things and like, but instead of like, okay, can you draw me, a graph or a line chart or something like that? I might sit there and say like, hey, can you draw it and make sure it has these options available to be turned on or off versus coming back and forth to it 5 times, 10 times. I still see him screw up sometimes on some of the different code I've asked for. It's not often these days. It's definitely improved a lot. But yeah, I just try to be a little bit, just provide more context in my overall inquiry and I try to start with the end in mind, I would say, when it comes to asking my question versus me personally planning on going through this iterative process with the AI where I'm like, oh, and this, and this, and this. What about
That's
yourself?
good. That's a good technique. I just on that real quick, like starting with, I don't know, it's kind of like, if you're planning to be somewhere and there's a lot of steps to get there, whether it's you're physically going somewhere or you're trying to solve some problem, starting from yeah, what is the end result you want? And if you want it done a specific way, then that's where I usually like add in like, okay, and don't do it in this way, like do it in this particular way, or do it for this platform, or whatever personalization there. But yeah, starting with make sure you have an idea of what you want and able to describe that properly. That's what helps a lot. Otherwise, again, AI is going to guess. You could be wrong. You may be iterating a lot more than you need to because you're probably like when I'm trying to describe something, I want PulseChain website, whatever. I want PulseChain script. I want this or that. I know what I want, but also I know there's probably a few different ways it's going to do it just based on what I've seen it do before or the different tech stack that I know that it may start using. So the more details of like, do it this particular way, make it for this particular platform, or make it produce these particular results. Again, it's just the detail. And then I don't have to iterate as much. Maybe it'll be, the first answer will be 75% of what I want. Like, okay, but now change these things and it'll be perfect. So it's mostly, yeah, detail, upfront goal, and then a few iterations. And usually I get whatever I need done, except this picture. So we're going to come back to it. Yeah.
one thing I'll add on to that as well is if you're able to understand which models you're talking to as well and what might their strengths be and what might its weaknesses be as well. So for example, I think some of the Gemini models and even some of the like open AI thinking models, like they might be able to take in some more context than some of the smaller, like more, let's say non-thinking models, right? So if you have like a longer prompt or longer questions, like, or especially if it's like one singular prompt, one singular question, it's a little bit longer, you can go to different AIs and get different responses and get different answers, and then also cross-reference those with each other. Like especially, for example, if you're doing Google searches and you're asking for like whatever day-to-day like life thing you need, you can ask GPT, you can ask Rock, and then cross-reference whatever they say and then kind of pull out whatever you think works the best for you, right? And then another thing I've noticed too is like sometimes you can maybe it misunderstands you a little bit and it'll go kind of like it'll get sidetracked effectively, right? So you're kind of going down the right path, and then might misunderstand you because maybe you like sometimes I don't even really like I'm not really trying to when I prompt the AIs, like it's not the best like terms of like how I organize it. So it might misunderstand, it might get sidetracked. So just going back a step, fixing that, getting it back on track, and then continuing on with whatever I want to do, right? Instead of trying to like kind of continue on down the bad track and then merge on back again, I'll just go back a step and then continue on forwards. And then another thing is too is like, I think if there's like a key point you want iterated, just repeating yourself multiple times to the AI. And this is gonna sound really
All
bad
caps.
too, but also all caps. Like I'm not even kidding you. I've had
I'm with
times
you.
where
I'm with you.
do it now, all capitalizations. And it
That was
fixes
aggressive.
it.
Yeah, like I mean, there is a point there. There's a point where it's like it may look like you're yelling, but that you're emphasizing. To it doesn't know you're yelling. It just thinks like this is really important. Kind of like bolding something. When you all caps to an AI, you're basically bolding it. You're not really yelling. You're just saying this is very significant. And yeah, there's been, I mean, and then of course we're human, so I'm sure there'll be times where I'm like, no, do it this way. Like, and I'll be like, all caps, do it this way, and do not do anything else. Do not change any other piece of the code. Don't add all these other things. Just only change this one thing. And yeah, all caps, or it's kind of like the bolding. I just think about it as like bolding instead of it's just being very explicit instead of yelling at the AI. But if you yell at it, it's fine too.
I think last thing I'll say too is like if you have that key point that you're talking about, like just kind of bolding, having it probably at the beginning, probably somewhere in the middle, and then somewhere at the end, especially if you want to get the point across, right? And then you could even do it more than that, but that's what we're talking about is like bolding, and then also like repeating.
Copy and paste it 5 times.
Yeah, just like you just sprinkle it in there, because as I understand, like the AIs, like they don't really read English as they're just kind of guessing on an output based on your input. So if you're just like if you're putting in stuff, like it will take it in a certain way and probably give you more of an expected output. But this is also kind of what we're talking about in terms of like talk to the AIs and understand their outputs, right? And understand how to peel a certain output based off of your given input. So
I just want to say on this one too, it did generate it. I think because this account's on the free version, so I think it stopped generating because it ran out of credit or whatever. But this is pretty good, actually. This is probably the best one I've seen. It actually got the hex logo.
Like very good job, actually.
Half time it just doesn't get the logos right, or it just hallucinates something else. But now this is the first time I've actually tried to generate a promotional comparison deal, and it did pretty good. And I said, make it try to promote hex. It puts the hex first. It puts the basically it's biased towards hex, and that's what when you're promoting stuff. So most of the words are right. This one, it misspelled Ethereum, whatever. It's got so much better with words. It used to be horrible. Like not even the font. It was just like weird writing everywhere and like just words that aren't words. And it got a lot of stuff correct. So again, this is something you can use you don't need to go to Canva, which I did before, and create promotional comparisons and stuff. If now we have image generation is getting this good, that's literally even pulling the logos, putting them on there. That was impressive. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, I think OpenAI has been making some improvements too, and it looks like you have the tweet there, but I think they've been So Grok did a bunch of image improvements as well.
This is one I'll hit a couple things on. So yeah, I mean Google, Grok, Claude is always doing a lot of stuff in the agent space. A lot of them are going on that stuff too. Of course, GPT, all these. I mean, again, you got the China models, like all the companies in China that are producing new. Like there's Manus. There's there's too much stuff to go through. But just to give everyone an idea of some of the things that are coming out that are happening like all the time. These threads are is literally on a weekly basis. New stuff is happening that are making incremental improvements or big leaps in AI in various different verticals. This was talking about Gemini. Again, I'm not going to go through each one in particular, but like upgrades to 4.0 and Sora. GPT can now create and edit images natively. That's a game changer, editing. Like again, this is I use Canva for a lot of stuff. I know a lot of people do. It's amazing. But when AI can edit images and it can generate and edit, like huge game changer. What else we got? Alibaba enters AI space, AI that understands text, audio, multimodal stuff in different models and stuff as well. What is this? Ideogram outperforms image gen. So yeah, look at these. These are AI generated pictures. They look like an Apple commercial of like people running around and like stuff like that. Just dropped a bomb. Like a bunch of new stuff. It's image generation. It's getting really good. Microsoft 365 enters AI agents. So you can have like a researcher, it looks like, gathers data across resources, analysts, processes the info like a human expert. Better get good at creativity, because this is going to shake up, obviously going to shake up the job market like no other. And again, this is the whole point of talking about this stuff, is at least for me, is really showing people, hey, this is not a fad. This is not something that, like, if you keep waiting to get good at it, you're just like, yeah, of course, in a year or two, things are going to be great, easier to use, but a lot more people are going to have access to it. They're going to have caught on. I prefer to be early to stuff. So when especially in tech, when you're looking at these things and you're like, wow, I can create content much easier. I can create memes. I can, do diet plans. I can adjust, whatever. I can take a picture of something that's broken and it'll tell me how to fix it without having to go through and search YouTube or search Google for it. I can do agents. Agents are going to be like, that's what all the companies are working on now, of literally just like go booking restaurants for you, like all this stuff. Again, giving yourself the ability to have superpowers. That's what AI does.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Max. For me, the friction is the opportunity in this. And look, you may not necessarily need to directly implement it over the course of your professional life or your career. I think it would be a huge misstep to at least not be familiar with some of these different tools. Like tinker around with an image generation thing, tinker around with perhaps a website builder, tinker around with some of these chatbots, and just play with it. So you at least have some semblance of what is possible with it. One question I did actually have for you, since I know primarily you've been using ChatGPT today, we touched upon Perplexity, Claude, and some other things. Do you guys have a favorite sort of one-stop shop to prompt multiple models? Just so you can do a quick cross comparison and say, oh, this is what I'm getting out of this model, this is what I'm getting out of this model, versus perhaps some of the viewers are going to be like, let me open up 10 websites and plug into everything.
There is, I don't have it off the top of my head, but every time I come across one that does this model aggregation, and I feel like there is one, I can't remember the name of it, but I've used them before. I think I'm just so used to using like the app for Claude, GPT, and all that, and it's kind of just like muscle memory. And I think it is just that first mover advantage. Of course, it'd be nice to, and maybe in the future it'll be like, yeah, nobody uses GPT interface directly. They use whatever multigpt.com, which uses Claude.
They'll
and all
use
that
an
stuff.
agent that'll summon.
Or they'll use an
agents.
agent, or they'll just be like, tell me how to cross this river, and then it'll just be like, okay, here you go, and put the path in front of you. Yeah, technology. But yeah, I mostly just use, I think Claude, GPT, and those are kind of the go-tos, especially since the coding abilities and the abilities for image generation have become so much better, unless there's something specific that something does much, much better. And then, yeah, don't have a good answer for it, but Kong, how about you?
I think Perplexity has a feature where you can choose multiple models, but I honestly, I've been sticking with kind of GPT and Grok and bouncing between that, and then Claude as well. But the other models, I will say I don't use as much, and if I do, like, it's probably on the free version. But what I will say about this might be a little bit off topic, but I do think as well as, like, if you're even wanting to try out the AIs and stuff, or even like GPT, like the $20 a month is probably extremely underpriced if you're able to just properly utilize the AI, right? And just kind of like, even I think if I were to cancel my subscription, I'd probably have to buy it back, because of I would
Buy it back higher
to use it. So yeah, I would buy it back higher. So
I literally, there's two things that I think I would pay 10 times as much as I pay for, more than I pay for today. One is YouTube Premium. The second one is GPT or Claude. I would pay if they cost 10 times. Those are the two products that save me so much time and so much value. They give me so much value that I would pay. If they cost 10 times as much, I would pay it. That's how important they are for me getting stuff done and not being, obliterated with ads and stuff all the time on YouTube, for example.
Yeah, I think, or maybe I hear people thinking that the AI is expensive, which especially for like
Compared to
I
what?
honestly
That's
don't
what the
know how
question.
much.
Compared to what?
Yeah, compared to what? Like I don't even know what it's like compared to. That's a really good point. Like what is? It's not like there's no way. And then even I actually don't know exactly how expensive Grok is, but I think it's cheaper than GPT, and it's probably very competitive with like if you're just wanting to try the AI out and maybe you could do some coding, maybe you could do some image generation, you could see how it works and kind of what you could be looking to expect even into the future and stuff. So
Yeah, compared to not having it, that's what I would compare it to. Compared to not having it, it's like you tell me for $20, it can help me code anything I want, figure out anything I want, create images for me, solve like whatever question I can get a good answer for. That's not worth $20. Yeah, it's worth 200 to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been out with some of the folks on this panel right here, and some of the folks in the audience. I've seen your coffee orders in the morning. I've seen what you order at the bar. Telling me you can't, pony up $20 or whatever to get some better tools to potentially catapult your life forward into the direction you want to go. I'm with you. Well worth the investment. It's an investment. Just got to use it and apply it.
yeah, and I think a lot of people still. I think they still underestimate it to this day. Like I'll be like, well, I'm gonna use AI or I'm gonna ask Grok this question. They're like, oh, what do you think Grok's gonna know about that topic? And I'm like, probably quite a bit. Like I like they're quite AIs are quite good now, and you can peel a lot of information off of them. And like I think it's a good, at the very least, it's probably a good starting point. I will say as well as like there's questions that you can't particularly Google, especially when it comes to like blockchain in that sort of sense. Like if we're even talking about PulseChain, right? Like if you want to, I don't know, if you want to do something in particular when it comes to even like running a node, right? You could ask the AI, or you could go watch RHMax's channel as well, and he has it very well documented. But if you have like a very particular question, you can't just type it into a Google search box and ask Google. Maybe you could, and maybe there's a Reddit thread, maybe there isn't a Reddit thread, but the point is like the AI, Grok, GPT will be able to steer you in the right direction for your particular question. So that's kind of how I look at it as well. And then this might be a little bit off topic, but Max, I'll tell you something I did, and this is like some hidden alpha, especially for anyone watching, but I took your scripts and then I made one of those custom GPTs, and I uploaded all your validator scripts and all the readmes and all the documentation into that GPT. And then if you had a question about the nodes, it has all the context and all the scripts and all the code of how to set it up and the readme with all the documentation, with all the links. So it's like you're talking to effectively a professional kind of agent, AI agent, right? That has all the context it would ever need to be able to complete that like scenario or situation, right? So that type of thing I think is extremely powerful, right? Because like what's the alternative is like either maybe you mess up something, maybe you have to go and like pay someone to like learn the technical skills, or like a one-on-one or something like that. But or you have to like I said, some questions you can't just Google, right? And you have to sort of go and figure it out for yourself. So
yep. I mean, there's so many different. I mean, I think the other day I think I said Go Real DeFi was, or what the story of Go Real DeFi. I think I've been saying it was the first website I built with the help of AI. But I think even PLS, I think there was one before that on the GitHub here, PLS Watch. So I think there was some template for looking at DEX transactions for V2 across Ethereum, and maybe PulseChain too. And I think I took, that was a fork of, sorry, we're getting technical coding for a minute. That was a fork of this Web3 Ethereum DeFi one. that supports EVMs for seeing swaps and stuff like that. And I think this is the first one where I used AI to was that 2 years ago? That's crazy. Yeah, because I had plsnow.net, and you could see live transactions for swaps and stuff across there, and it would run the script and then display it on the website. And it was really hard to do. I remember so many times I'd iterated for hours. And that's just the way the models were a couple of years ago. They were new, and you're using like GPT-3 and 3.5 instead of 4.0 and 0.3 and all the stuff they have now. And Claude 3.7 didn't exist, and it was just much harder to get it to not to like, no, I want to do it this way. No, this still doesn't work. No, here's like, I really have to even dig technically into it and really give it all the information for it to work. But then after that, Go Real DeFi, I used it for to help write it, and it just, even at that point, like if I would rewrite it today, it'd probably look different. It would probably I'm sure it'd be written differently as well. Not that it'd be much better, but it would just be way different, because that's how much in a year or two. I guess Go Real DeFi is like a year and a half old or something right now. I think it was December 23, December 23. But that's how much of improvement there's been in just 12 months, 18 months, 2 years in the space. So what do you think it's going to be in another year or two? Like, is it? I mean, the whole curve. I mean, we keep thinking, oh, it can't be that good, but why couldn't it be? Why can't it keep going? Like, what are the limitations? I know LLMs can't do everything, but that's why we see this explosion of other technology coming out. And now we got China entering the game. They come up. I can't even get an invitation. Anybody got a Manus invitation? Like, one of the most popular, just game-changing AIs and models. And I'm sure you can maybe execute the model somewhere else. But as far as getting on the list to get to use the Manus API or the Manus interface, some of these you can't even get access to yet because there's so much demand from people. So explosion in technology. It's crazy. Like this one using Manus. Manus provided analysis of the current financial situation, savings, investment growth projections across 4 childcare scenarios. The report includes a comprehensive comparative analysis, recommendations, acceleration strategies, risk considerations, all presented with informative charts and graphs. That's what we're looking at. That kind of edge you can get using these products.
I think that's a key point, is like, I think the AI is turning into people's edge, and it's only people this is kind of how I look at it, but everything's only getting better with the AIs. So I think you're being left exponentially behind as these AIs are getting exponentially better, and as people are improving their kind of products and their outputs exponentially more. Like Max is saying, like, if he were to rebuild some of these sites, they would probably be like maybe not too much different in terms like the base logic of like how these things work, but in terms like maybe how it looks or how certain things kind of work or kind of operate or UI, that type of thing, it might look a little bit different, right? So the stuff will only get better, and I think that's where especially in crypto, that's where you can increase your competitive edge by the most, is if you're able to utilize these tools to its fullest extent and try and max it out to like its fullest capability, right? Because even if you think about it like that, like if you are utilizing it until it is not really working anymore, like even kind of what Max was saying when he was building PLS watch of like lots of iterations in terms of like you're kind of like maxing out in a way of like what that model could do, right? In terms of like it's not as simple as like 2 + 2 = 4 anymore. So when you get to that point and you kind of stay there at that threshold, like I think you're gonna leave a lot of people who just thought it was a regular old chatbot. Like you're gonna increase your edge. You're gonna leave them all behind. So that's kind of how I look at AI currently as well.
I want to take before we get into the next one, I just want to take a trip down memory lane of one of probably forgotten products, one of the forgotten projects that I've worked on, which is PLS Now, which used to be a site. I literally did a poll. I'm thinking about retiring PLSnow.net. Does anybody want to, but I'm going to keep Go Real DeFi up. And this was literally this is a side project I had. able to see the different transactions and trades and coming across. And then I kept this thread. I like to do this where when I work on something over time, this is like, a year and a half ago, I work on something over time. And if I'm posting the progress, you can see the evolution from literally just on the terminal, seeing the transaction hashes, seeing the coins coming across, to, okay, now we got colors. Now we got, different pieces going on. Now we got emojis. Now it's capturing the links. Now it's got a link there. You can click them. Now it's got, stats up here in the corner of the different trades and pieces that are happening. And it's got a title. And then now when you click on something, it'll highlight it and take you to that one and the different pieces there. And then, oh, wow, look, I added the logos. And now it's got a huge list of all the different transactions coming across. You can click on each one and go down the list of the ones that are live, that are coming across there. And I think that was, one of the last ones. Well, this is like a mobile view of it too, but literally it was like this, techno, like crypto, what do you call it? Like cypherpunk style website where you could see live transactions come across Uniswap V2 on the DEX, click on transactions, get access to them with different tokens and kind of see like what's going on the chain. That I thought was pretty cool. So ended up, again, retiring it after a little while, but that was a pretty fun project to work on. And then Go Real DeFi became the focus.
I think the kind of maybe not the point, but I think kind of like a key point people can take away from this as well is like if you have an idea, right? Or if you have like, oh, I wish there was a bot that did this, or I wish there was a website that did this, or I wish there was this or that. You can talk to the AI and you can ask it about like how could I build this, right? And it will probably start giving you code to start with. Chances are code's not going to work first try, right? So, but you can get your blueprint, get your questions, get your prompts going, and then start kind of working towards like whatever kind of idea you have, right? It doesn't need to be, and it doesn't need to be anything kind of extreme, right? You can start off doing kind of something small just to kind of get your kind of workflow moving, and then once you get used to everything, move on to like more advanced kind of projects. So
make your dreams come true with AI. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Kong, on that one. It's, I started asking questions and using it as a research tool. Then in parallel at the time, I was tinkering around with some other folks' trading view indicators. And I was like, oh, I wish it would do this. This would be better if. And then I said, wait a minute, after doing that for several weeks, I was like, I wonder how far I can start to push this. And then I started using Grok and some other tools and be like, okay, take this, but I want it like this. Or help me build a table that has these values on it, these calculations on it, and 3, 2, 1, go. And then literally I found myself, it all started for me with, this would be so much better if ... Okay, let me start throwing that in there and see what it spits out.
Yeah, it's literally like every time I have an idea, like, oh, that would be cool, or that might be a nice tool, or I really just want to know the stat. I want to know, the difference between, whatever it is, Uniswap V3, V2, and V4. Like, you can create tables and stuff for that. It is a value creation machine. Like whatever you can think of, the AI at this point, especially if it's an app, it can just go build it for you a lot of times. So shout out to Vibe Coding. Hopefully it doesn't make us all people who know how to code severely bad at coding over time. There are some downsides to that of like relying too much on it, but also
dependency.
Yeah, there is a dependency on some of these, but it's like, okay, are we dependent on the internet? Anyone got a problem with that? Are you dependent on coffee? Well, you may or may not have a problem with that, but it's like there are things that we are dependent to. You may say addicted to, whatever word you want to say that we need in whatever way, or we decided that we need, and we're more productive with them. So as long as there's more net, as long as they bring a more net positive than a net negative, I think there's a trade-off to be made there, and each person can decide how much they want to do for that. Twinkie, where are you going to take us from here? You got anything to show or demo or Kong or otherwise?
So I'm definitely a Grok person overall on this one. And I think we might have, I don't know if we got onto it on stream or off stream last time on some aspects of this, but let me just throw a quick screen share out here, Max, and then just kind of like give it as an example, like real simple use case. Because I know a lot of folks here do use Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, potentially are using some premium iteration of this. And
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's worth the $20 a month. I don't know if I should.
It sounds like
Every
a lot
time the
of money.
argument, I mean, again, I know everyone's like trying to, a lot of people, you gotta
It's
make
tough out
sure you
there.
can afford all your services. But I'm telling you, YouTube Premium and at least one AI product, like those are two things that make, if anything gives me superpowers, those two things are the best data feeds I could possibly have, and the best $40 I could ever put a couple 20s together and buy. Like, my opinion.
I think if you're on Twitter as well, like doing the whole crypto Twitter, which I don't know if that's good or bad for most people, but if you are doing that, you can definitely, I think, getting the Twitter premium, whatever, with the Grok included is probably your best bet, because I think it's just as good as GPT, and it might be a little bit cheaper. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it might be. So
Yeah. Do you want a blue check mark? Do you want an AI tool to support you? Then go buy Twitter Premium. That's the short pitch on it. But
Sorry,
oh,
real quick, since
yeah.
Kong talked about touching grass in some way, just wanted to show this. I made this meme recently. This is the LeBron, don't care meme. Nobody can guard me meme. But this is more of a, instead of we will win, we need to go out and touch grass right now. Touch grass, chill out, log off X, believe, deep breaths, touch sand. We're gonna get through this bullshit. Don't worry. Yeah, just breathe, deep breaths, breath work underrated. I like it. All right, sorry, Twinkie. Back to
No worries. So, okay, somebody might look at this, and I'm gonna give myself a quick plug here on this one. You can hop over to my page. I actually have a cultivated AI list for AI agents for some of the different blockchains that I follow, be it PulseChain, Sonic, or any other number of other chains. They may have like agent launch pads or specific agents mixed in there. Everything from like sports betting to what's the one I'm recently following, like a DeFi doctor type situation. Anyway, so you can check my lists on my Twitter page. But maybe I'm looking at something like this and I'm sitting here going, okay, TLDR, congratulations or I'm sorry, depending on what day of the week it is on this. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't know when they did it. I know we were talking about it last time, Max, but you can sit there and just click the Grok button and it'll do a quick summary on the post, giving you the major bullet points on the particular item here, or the particular article or like of interest. And then if I want to spend some more time digging into the weeds, I certainly have that ability. But that is something, since I discovered that Grok button, I've been using it all the time, just because I don't want to sit there reading through 10,000 posts just to try to find the information I'm looking for. I've already semi-cultivated my list. Now, something like this, I might sit there and go, okay, like I follow Diego. I generally believe in some of Diego's posts or think the information's pretty good. Do I need, I'm pressed for time today. Do I really want to run through all of this? Or can I just sit there and just grok it, so to speak, and see what Grok gives me for the quick bullet point summaries? And then I can make an executive decision on whether or not I want to dig into the weeds. It's a real simple use case there.
That's a really good point as well. Sometimes I won't understand a post, or like I don't understand if it's bearish or bullish, or for example, if they're being positive or negative towards a certain person. Like I just can't really. I don't know what's going on, or there'll be a post out of context where it's just clearly out of context and you don't know what's going on. If hitting the Grok button, it'll tell you more of the context surrounding the post and like pretty much what it's trying to tell, what it's trying to convey and stuff like this. So
Deb, do something. Is that positive or negative? I don't know. Could be neutral. Deb, do something question mark. Yeah. Just add a lot of question marks in there just to mix it up. Shout out to Richard Hart and his question mark post.
Yeah, if you guys do have Twitter Premium, I know Max, I think you and I were talking about it. If you grok yourself, like so to speak, like go to your own Twitter page and click the grok button just to see what it has to say about you, or maybe what it thinks other people have said about you, that can be pretty enlightening.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember you show me that. It said some very nice things. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's pretty accurate too. I agree with that. I like that. What else, guys? What else is, as far as AI, can people... I mean, we touched on coding. I even, when I was prompting, I talked about like diet plan. Like if you want very specific, I use it all the time when I'm cooking, or I want to, make a protein shake, or I want to make a meal that has a certain amount of macros, or I want to come up with a plan. I mean, you could do it. There's a question in the chat about wonder if AI can help us during tax time, given a chain, token address, date, time can return the price. I think if the products, I think a lot of tax products and a lot of just analyst products of every sort will probably why, I don't know what product AI wouldn't improve. If it has anything to do with data or doing stuff, AI agents or just models can help. I don't know what it couldn't improve. So I imagine a lot of the tax products, or I could even see where GPT itself has tax mode where you just give it, again, you got to be comfortable giving your data, all that stuff. There's all this stuff you got to be okay with and or trade-offs or all that stuff too. But why wouldn't you be able to just dump your finances into a model and tell it to do your taxes for you or solve some problem or strategize with you or otherwise, whether it needs to reach out to the internet or not? What do you all think about just products in general? Is there anything that strikes you as oh, we don't have it yet, but this is obviously going to be something coming?
We need an AI that you put all your transactions or your tax slips into, and it does all your taxes for you. Maybe something like that already exists, but you get an agent that goes one by one and just fills everything out. You
TurboTax AI.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you kind of hinted at it a little bit, but that sounds pretty cool.
I mean, I literally just tapped in TurboTax AI and it has Intuit Assist, a new generative AI powered financial assistant. So if they don't have it now, they definitely, it's every company who's not adding AI to something. I mean, you could look at it as, a marketing thing. Does it make sense to do this? Honestly, I've yet to hear a scenario where a product, an app, would not benefit from talking to a model or having AI integrated. Why would it be worse? As far as other than, you need to be online for this experience. I'm not about the user experience as far as offline, online, all that. I'm talking about how could it not give you better data if it uses AI?
Yeah, anything information, data calculation type scenario. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be improved and probably at some point in time just become, it'll be standard issue at some point in time. Not terribly distant future.
What else as far as just, I got a ton of bookmarks. I'm just trying to pick which one. Maybe I'll pick one more.
Yeah, I guess, since we got, folks rolling through here from different communities and we got a strong PulseChain orientation here. What do you think is the future of AI integration with things like blockchain, cryptocurrency? Hopefully we continue to see some ongoing development on PulseChain, but on any level of that, just what do you as you gaze into your crystal ball, what do you think's coming?
You're talking about, what was the question again, for AI or for,
for
crypto?
AI on blockchain, AI and crypto. To me, there's a couple of different elements that maybe kind of go into that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think a lot of the work going on right now seems to be either around, we talked about this a little bit by the way, if anyone hasn't seen the first AI show a couple weeks ago, me and Twinkie did one, covered a lot of stuff on his channel. And then, did we have one before that too? Is this the third one? The second one?
I don't know. They're all kind of running together, but we've definitely streamed a handful of times together.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, last one was on my channel. This one's on your channel.
The previous one, I think, was just PulseChain. It wasn't AI, though. I think it's the second AI one, I think. So we talked about then around the different, what platforms, do you actually need an AI token? What do AI tokens do? Can they actually talk to the blockchain, or are they just a token that will get you access to AI features? There's different, I know there's different Telegram stuff where you can use tokens to do AI stuff, all that. But I think the more interesting use cases, at least these days, is probably around TA, probably around automating different flows around charts and indicators and trading and bots. And I think that's probably where most of the value for AI is going to be in crypto. And if they actually do make a chain where you can talk to models on chain, and it's kind of like one of those, I don't even know the use cases and how useful it would be, but if somebody actually pulled it off, there's probably something there. It'll either be a novelty or it'll be a revolution as far as native AI on chain. But I haven't even thought deeply about what problem that would solve, but it just sounds interesting from a basic level.
Yeah. What about yourself, Kong? Any thoughts on that one?
It's a good question. I think if anything, it'll encourage just overall more building on PulseChain in general. Like I think when PulseChain launched was kind of at the start of even when some of these models kind of started picking up a little bit. But I don't know how much they would have been utilized. Maybe in some places, in some forms, in some fashion, some of the projects. But I think as especially as the even learning curve of getting into AI and even kind of building on blockchain kind of gets lowered, you might just see kind of more competition with more projects on PulseChain. But in terms of actual AI on blockchain, I have no idea. But I agree with Max in the sense that there will probably be a core utilization with people trying to create like TA or strategies using AI and kind of different agents and stuff surrounding blockchain. So
What about you, Twinkie? What's your crystal ball say?
Yeah, a few different elements to that, just off the top of my head. Certainly, like this, I know Daniele Sesta, who's pretty well known in like Sonic projects, and like he's talking about like DeFi, DEF AI, DeFi that they could written clever, verbally doesn't really hold up. With respect to other aspects of that, if we start to get to more of a AI solution directly on chain, where it's like on some sort of distributed network, I think one of the early middle grounds would be the personality layers encapsulated as an NFT. I could see that kind of happening before we get true, so to speak, AI tools directly on chain. Yeah, I'm with you. The most obvious immediate case is going to be some aspect of assisting with managing and navigating DeFi, agentic wallets and trading strategies, and having your emissary operate on your behalf and figure out some of these things for you. That's probably the most obvious thing. Anyway, what you got queued up for us, Max? You got some bright, shiny colors here.
This is literally something that it's just, I'll come across stuff. And if you want to keep up with AI stuff, Twitter is full of people talking about stuff, posting pictures and videos and links. And I mean, literally, this is just first time I looked at it, I just thought, okay, this is interesting. It's got like this dashboard and you can do UI stuff, and Hugging Face supports like this different piece. And it's just, you literally just click the link, no login. And you're like, oh, okay, I can interact with this site. I can modify it or however it works. So there, if you want to, I guess the major point in this one is like, if you start, following some people, or I don't even follow a lot of AI people, or maybe any AI people. If you bookmark things, the algo will be like, oh, I'll show them more of this stuff, but it will give you access to people with playing with these different pieces, getting the latest pieces of news and projects that are around it. A ton of people are coming up with prompts. Again, the AI is like, if you have an idea, you can literally make it come to life in an app, in a table, in an image, like whatever it is. There's people who are just coming up with different prompts to literally here, full prompt. Just search Twitter for like full prompt for like whatever you're interested in. You'll probably come up with some good stuff. Make a body mass index calculator. User inputs height, weight, program calculates BMI, 2-digit position. So it's classification, body mass, short fitness, diet, and health tips. And this one, I mean, look at this. It's just like this looks like it's just a website generator, just like we did in GPT earlier, but using DeepSight. And look at amazing UI. Like this is something you would pay a lot of money for, and you can get access to either for free or for some small amount of money per month. So this is, I think, the biggest thing from coming out of AI is literally this revolution of, before it was, if you know how to code, it's a superpower. And now it's, if you know how to prompt, if you get access to these services, now you have you don't even need to know how to code. You can just describe, English is the hottest new programming language type of deal. So if you're not amazed by this, maybe you're just not interested in creating things. But if people are out there interested in creating things, you have everything in front of you to do this. And in a world of unlimited ideas, if you have a good one, I mean, who knows what you can make, again, for PulseChain, I'm always looking to make contributions in different ways. If you want to make contributions to PulseChain or whatever crypto community you're from, boy, AI seems like a no-brainer. And I feel like we keep hitting this point, but it's it's so, I don't know. It's like, how many times do we have to say it before people get it and they start, like, oh, I'm actually going to go create something today. This is the weekend. I know it's beautiful outside, maybe where you're at, or maybe not. But if you have some time and you want to create something, dive into this stuff. It's only going to be like, there's no downside. Like, what's the downside? What is the downside in using this tech?
Worst case is you learn something.
They're not
new,
going to
right?
be able to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Netflix or GPT subscription? Yeah, definitely GPT these days, at least.
Yeah, you tinker with it, you learn something new, right? Like potentially it gets some things percolating, and maybe after you experiment with it, okay, you don't have like, something that's going to make you $11 billion out the gate, but maybe it starts planting some seeds and you're like, wait a minute, like this is a problem. It would be better if, 2 weeks out, 2 months out, and then all of a sudden, hey, I've got a little bit of familiarity with it. Let me go back to it and take a swing at it.
Amazing stuff. Wrap up here in a minute. Just want to put it out here to easy onboarding videos. PulseChain updated the 2025 catalog. Tells you how to do all the amazing stuff on their favorite chain. I even did this little GIF generator. Look at this. It even scrolls through and shows you all the different videos on there. No shortage of information. Go out there, find what you're interested in, and get on the greatest chain on earth. Some say it's severely undervalued. What do you gentlemen think? PulseChain's undervalued?
100%. Absolutely.
Add some zeros. Add some zeros to that. 10,000%.
10,000% for sure.
5,500.
That's 10,000%. That's fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's what are you all looking forward to? Crypto, PulseChain, AI. What do you guys want to take us out on? Whoever wants to take it first.
Looking ahead, I know we've got some assorted announcements in the coming weeks relative to the Richard Hart case with some of the, I believe, the SEC deadlines to file amended complaints. I'm hoping that they just give up, but I'm not expecting them to. Outside of that, just kind of going to go outside and touch some grass. I encourage everyone to find a blend of the same. I know a lot of folks like to stare at crypto Twitter and charts, and numbers go up and numbers go down. If you're not planning on selling tomorrow, why are you worried about it?
It's a good point.
Okay.
I think what I'll say is if you don't have if you don't have an AI subscription, or you don't have anything like that, at the very least, try it out. Use the AI enough until you start hitting those kind of limits, and you need to get the subscription after a certain point, right? So I think that would be if, like, especially if you tune into the stream, if you found a lot of things interesting, just even talk to the AI about like what can the AI do for you. Like, just tell it, like, it's tricky because you probably I don't like to tell the AI about like all about yourself and stuff like that, but the more context you give it, the better kind of answers it'll be able to give you in terms of like how you can use it to even improve your life in certain ways. So
what can it do in the digital age? Like physically, yeah, we haven't got the USB stick with hands plugged in yet, or the robots that are mowing your grass, but in the digital age, what can't AI help you with? That's the question that I'll pose to anyone out there who's on the fence. What can't it help? What can it do? Like, what superpower can't it give you? Especially if you have no prior experience with different verticals. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax, accountant. I don't have experience in lots of different things that experts do in the world, but I don't even need to talk to one all the time when I can get some, at least some basic, advice or basic rundown of how these things work from the computer, and the computer can do it these days. It's good stuff.
Last thing I'll say here is if you're an expert in something, this is like a good way of kind of gauging the AIs. If you're an expert in something, talk to the AI about whatever you're an expert in, and you could even question it. You can do whatever you want. You can ask it whatever questions. You can talk to it about whatever you're an expert in. See how or if it's an expert in it too, and how well versed or not it's in whichever given topic. Especially when we talk about like crypto on this channel, talk to it about crypto. Of course, it'll probably make generalizations in terms of like crypto, but the more specific you get and the better questions you ask it, like it knows about everything in a sort of sense. So
I think it's especially useful. I say especially useful if you're really confident about something. If you think you know a lot about crypto and you're about to write a post, or you're about to state some idea that you're like, I think I'm right about this. Give it to the AI. Be like, what's the other perspectives? Tell me the counter argument. Tell me the other ways of looking at it. And oh man, the shining of there's nothing like shining a light on your blind spots, and then you just became more powerful. Now you know the opposing argument. If it's an opinion, you already know what the other side's going to say. You've already accepted or you've rejected it. You've already changed your position. You've already made your argument more strong by having the data and asking the person or asking the AI that knows all the stuff, in that sense. So good things. Twinkie, start with you. Where can people find more about you and the robots you may or may not acquire in the future that are going to save the world and not doom us all to a dystopian death spiral?
Yeah, and like how to buy into my Genghis Khan, like medical doctor, nuclear physicist agent. Yeah, the forthcoming. Stay tuned for that one. At Mr. Angry Twinkie on all socials, on Telegram, Twitter, YouTube. Periodically, I stream over on YouTube. Definitely very active on Twitter. Definitely very active on Telegram. Max, thanks for having me on again. Kong, great having the opportunity to chat with you and share a little screen time with you. I'll kick it over to Kong.
Yeah, right back at you as well, Twinkie. It was nice me and you and being on the stream. You as well, Max. Thanks for having me on. Anyone who wants to look further into my stuff and my channel, it's CryptoKong145 on Twitter and YouTube. And then I have a website I developed, lookintopdgc.com. And you can find a lot of stats on the greatest currency, which are some of the top performing coins on PulseChain and perhaps even in all of crypto. If you look hard enough. So yeah.
Awesome. Gents, great stream. Banger. Put out a banger today. AI banger. If you're looking for that kind of content, which seems like hundreds of you are, at least according to StreamYard, you found it. Replay gang, if you're just joining. And appreciate y'all joining us today. That's all we got for you. Have a great weekend. Go outside, have some fun, enjoy yourself. Scivive and 5555. We are out.